What's up everyone, it's Bran here from Bloody Breakdown, and it is that time again to do a spoiler-free review. This time, for the very first time, it will not be on a feature film, it will be on a TV series. And of course, I think that narrows it down, given what's out right now, what's been big this week. Of course, that is Scream Resurrection, or Scream Season 3, or whatever you want to call it. That's what we're going to talk about here today. And I'm going to keep it spoiler free because I know there are a lot of people out there that may not have VH1, because why the hell would you? And there's just people that weren't able to watch it live, and it was done in 3 days and it's over pretty quickly. So I'm going to keep it spoiler free, so if you haven't seen the show, feel free to check it out. I'm going to give you my ideas about how I feel about this show. So let's just go ahead and start off with, let's start with some good things, because I'm gonna be honest with you, it's gonna take longer to talk about the bad things. Okay, so good things, some pros here about Scream Season 3. I think the first pro I should throw out here before I say anything else is we're getting Scream content. We're getting more in the story of this Ghostface mask. Even though it's not the same thing from the movies, it's not the same thing from the first 2 seasons, we're getting more Scream content. So at the very least, that's something to think about. That's something that I think is really, really good. So as far as the show itself goes, I think the number one pro, the number one, I have to say something about this show, and I'm not going to be saying very many good things, especially as far as this video keeps going, but I believe this show had some of the best kills in the franchise. And maybe I should be more specific. The goriest, the most graphic, and the most interesting. Now, Scream is known for a lot of things, but it's not really known for its creative kills. 9 out of 10 times in a Scream film, you're looking at someone being stabbed. I mean, sure, you get the occasional Tatum in the garage door, which to this day is, I think, one of the most interesting kills from the franchise. But in this one, I mean, you're seeing some pretty brutal stuff. You're seeing some different kills. I'm talking about injections. I'm talking about, complete and total ripped in half type stuff. Like I said, don't want to go into too much detail. Spoiler free review. I mean, we're talking some pretty different, interesting stuff. And that's not to say that you still don't have your typical Scream stabbings. Yes, you have those. But it's mixed in and peppered in with some really unique, interesting kills. So I will say that is something very good about this show. Now this next part, I'm gonna put it out here. It's not a spoiler at all, I'm about to say, because what I'm saying is not 100% factually accurate. But I think it's something to maybe entice some horror fans out there who aren't thinking about watching this to check it out. Another good thing about this is we unofficially see Candyman versus Ghostface. And since this is a spoiler-free review, that's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm going to say, and I'm going to move on away from that. But I think that if I'm talking about the pros here, that definitely bears mentioning. So, maybe I'll come back to some pros later. One other thing, I think, there's a couple, well, I'll talk about this before I move on to the cons. There's one thing in particular, there's a lot of twists and turns in the season. I'm not very pleased with the killer twist. However, I am pretty pleased with a twist that happened in episode 5. And I can't elaborate on that right now, but what I will say is that it wasn't really built up, so, it is kind of out of left field, but it is an interesting turn that I didn't see coming, and whereas that is not the most important twist, it's definitely better than what should have been the most important twist. So yeah, those are just a few pros off the top of my head that I wanted to talk about. Let's talk about some cons. The acting. And I guess you can kind of count some of this as a pro, because since they were only doing 6 episodes, the budget was bigger and they got some more recognizable names than we've seen in the last 2 seasons of Scream. I'm talking about, I don't know the guy's name. He was the blue Power Ranger in the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie they made a couple of years back. Tyga, the rapper. Big Boy from Outkast. Tony Todd. It was definitely some bigger names, like, brought into the fold, because I think they had that budget. But with that being said, there were people like Tyga in this. I don't know if anyone's ever seen Tyga act before, but if you haven't, count your blessings, because he's awful. There are moments, he gets moments. I'm not saying I'm not trying to single him out, because there's a lot of bad acting in this, but his kind of stood out to me the most, because there are some scenes where he's in where he plays a pivotal role and he has emotional roles, or scenes rather, and they don't work at all whatsoever. And I think a lot of that has to do with another con, the writing. It was lazy. It was bland. Anytime things are brought up about horror movies in Scream films, it always kind of flows with the conversation. It doesn't feel forced like it does in this show. In this show, it felt totally forced by our Randy-esque character, which of course you gotta have one of those. And for the first time, it's a female, so it's a bit different. But the writing, the dialogue, it's really not that good. It kind of borders on awful, I'll say that. Another con, and I alluded to this earlier, are, and let me say this spoiler free as possible, the reveal, not good. I thought it was done very poorly, but I will say that I got heavy vibes from the killer situation in Scream 2. Heavy vibes. It was very reminiscent of what we saw from the killer in Scream 2. And that's all I'm going to say, because I did say spoiler-free review. I almost wanted to speak on that, and maybe I will later on when I think people have seen this, and it's maybe a little bit more open to talk about, but I do try to keep things that are new spoiler-free. That's why all the bloody breakdowns I do, I think there's probably about a 10-year limit in between the film and my video, so no one can say, hey, spoiler. But yeah. Overall, here's what I'll say about Scream Resurrection, Scream Season 3. I'm gonna say that... And one more thing before I get to this. I don't want to drag this out, but I'll say this. I think some of that poor writing detracts away from deaths of core characters in the show, because it's kind of hard to feel for them when the writing isn't very good and you've rushed this, into 6, well, I shouldn't say rushed, packed it into 6 episodes, and you kind of have to consume it quickly. I'm not like a binge guy on Netflix, so watching this entire 6-episode thing in 3 days was a bit taxing for me and a little bit jarring, and maybe that has something to do with why I'm not a big fan of it. But getting back to what I was saying before I sidetrack myself here, overall, I'm gonna say that if you're a fan of the Scream franchise, or if you're a slasher fan or a horror fan in general, you watch this thing, you're gonna get some good kills. You're gonna get the Scream storyline that you're used to in certain ways. You're gonna get, and this is something I should have said under pros, but it's been talked about ad nauseum, so I really didn't feel like it. You're gonna get Roger L. Jackson doing the voice, the original Ghostface voice. You're gonna get the original mask back. You're gonna get some good things out of it. This show does have some pretty interesting things going on as far as Easter eggs in a minor way, I guess, and just what it is in general. If you're a fan of the franchise, if you're a fan of the genre, there's going to be something you can find enjoyable. With that being said, its glaring errors can be a bit much at times. I noticed personally some plot holes that kind of smacked me in the face, and I mean, once again, kind of goes back to bad writing. But you know, I will say this: it's 6 hours, you know, of total from beginning to end. So if you have the time and you're a fan of this kind of stuff, check it out. But don't go into this thinking that you're gonna get anything like the Scream movies or even the Scream TV show from season 1 and 2, because you're just not. I think that it's probably gonna go down as something that it was here, it happened, and now we move on. So yeah, I guess at the end of the day, it's not very good, but a part of me says it's at least worth a watch. I guess that's the best way I can really put it into terms that make sense out of everything going on up here. I literally just finished watching it, so yeah. If you enjoyed the video, leave me a thumbs up. If you didn't enjoy the video, leave me a thumbs down. I'm not going to cry myself to sleep anymore over dislikes. But yeah, also down below you'll notice a subscription button and a notification bell right next to it. Pressing those two things will ensure, at least hopefully, that you always catch when I go live or upload. Also guys, if you would check the description section, you notice some links where you can follow, friend, and like and share and all that jazz all over social media. Bloody Breakdowns on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, you name it. The links are below. Also, there's some links you'll notice where you can support what it is we do here at Bloody Breakdown, but to tell you more about that is just a young boy who's still hoping for a Scream 5. It's me. If you enjoy my content and want to support Bloody Breakdown, here are a few ways you can do so. Become a patron of the channel at the Patreon link below. You can make a one-time or a monthly contribution. Simply select a tier of $1, $5, or $10 and unlock the perks that come with your tier of choice. Perks range from early access of videos to your name in the credits listed as a producer. Check out our Amazon wish list with tech items that could go a long way in improving the overall quality of the channel and the podcast. Install Honey. Honey is a free web browser extension that automatically finds and applies coupon codes at checkout for over 30,000 shopping sites, saving you money and coupon searching time. It only takes 2 clicks to install, and using my link in the description section below helps to support Bloody Breakdown. And with the shilling out of the way, I want to know what you guys think. Bear in mind, it's a spoiler-free environment, so if you've seen it, try to respect the fact that some other people haven't in the comment section down below. But without saying, giving anything away, let me know what you guys thought. And yeah, I guess that'll about do it for now. So, I'm Brent from Bloody Breakdown. Can we just get a Scream 5? We'll catch you next time.